Okay, so here we are. We've defined our customer segments, we've described them, we've talked about what functional and emotional needs they really have, we've talked about competition, and we've talked about how to prioritize the customers that we truly want to be the best at. Well, here's why that's so critical. At some point, when you've listed out exactly who you want to be the best at servicing as a customer, now we need to talk about how to optimize your company from a delivery perspective, from a marketing perspective, so that you connect very deeply with those top stack ranked sets of customers. And so the pillar that we're talking about now is differentiation. This is a really critical piece, and it's another discipline, because what you're talking about is how are you going to set yourself apart and create space between you and every other competitor that's out there. You can really only do this if you've done the priority pillar before this, because again, you can't be all things to all people. So once you've decided who you truly want to connect with and be the top vendor for that customer, now you can start talking about how to differentiate yourself and make sure that that's true. So this is why we have our little smiley face here. In a sea of competitors, the most powerful marketing you can do is not advertising, it's not your website, it's what you say about yourself on those vehicles. So in other words, if you're doing amazing creative marketing, but you're not saying anything that's really different about who you are and who you're for, then you're not differentiated and your marketing will really suffer. So let's just take a quick look at a couple of different ways that you can differentiate yourself. These concepts come from a really great book from about 10 or 15 years ago called The Discipline of Market Leaders. It's still a very relevant book. And in that book, the author talks about different ways that your company can choose to be different. Now, it's really critical before we go through these that you don't think that you can be the best at all these different factors, because even if you might be, the customer, the market, won't give you credit for being a leader if they get confused by your marketing that says that you're trying to do all this stuff. So you really have to choose from among these categories. Now, the first category is operational excellence. So that could be a core discipline that your company has. Think of something like Walmart, just incredible supply chain discipline. What is the benefit, the differentiating benefit to a customer from a company that has operational excellence? And it turns out that those companies tend to be the cost leader. So those are the low-cost folks, people like Walmart. And they can pull that off because their core discipline is operational in nature. So that's one way to differentiate. Another way to differentiate is through innovation and product leadership. So think about companies like Apple Computer or people that are just constantly on the cutting edge of coming out with new technology innovations. And so their product is the best. You can think of certain car companies like Lexus and others that also have that strategy. So the core benefit to product leadership tends to be things like quality. Now, if you can't necessarily see your company being the absolute best at delivering a service or a product, or you can't quite see your company being as competitive at a cost leader perspective, this last category actually might be an interesting solution for you. So one of the disciplines that you might have is being very customer intimate. And what we mean by that is you know the customer better than anyone else, and you're a little bit more pivoted towards service, customer service. And so when you think about it that way, you may not be the cutting edge product, you may not be the total low cost leader, but you might, through customer intimacy, have the actual best solution, the best total solution. And for many folks, IBM represents this because they don't tend to have the cutting edge technology all the time, and they're certainly not the low cost leader in services or technology, but IBM tends to surround a customer, really deeply become intimate in knowing what their needs are, and make sure that they've got the total solution for them. So take a few minutes, think about your market scenario and what your company represents. Is it operationally efficient so you can deliver the best cost? Are you a total innovator? You're on the cutting edge of delivering quality and innovation so that you can have product leadership there? Or are you so close in understanding and serving the customer that you end up being the best total solution. So take a minute and try to think about where you fit into that, and then we'll move on with the rest of our differentiation.